Ahoy, First Mates. My name is Shane from the Virgin Voyages sales team, and I'm delighted to be with you today for a very, very special session where we are greeted and joined by two wonderful people, David and Anita. Hello, David and Anita. How are you?
Hi.
Good. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys, so it's great to be able to spend some time with you. So you guys are in a very fortunate and unique position by the fact that you are some of the very few people in the world that have actually got to sail on Virgin Voyages and Scarlet Lady, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very excited by having the chance to join you guys.
Yeah, so you're in a very unique position. Almost, I was going to say more people have been on the moon than sailed on Scarlet Lady, but I'm not quite sure that that's true. But you guys, you love holidays at sea, right? So you really enjoy taking vacations and holidays and cruise experiences. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background of cruise holidays. What kind of holidays have you done previously?
Well, that's quite a long story in itself. We've been cruising for 24 years.
We were babies.
Yeah, of course, straight from the cradle, right?
And it's kind of funny because, you know, when we never considered cruising, when we first started cruising, you know, to everybody it was a once in a lifetime holiday. It was something that you won on a game show on TV or something like that. And so for us, it really wasn't a consideration. Whereas these days, it's a once a year, or for many people like us, more than once a year type of holiday. But it is kind of strange if we look back to when we first started cruising. Back then, we were cruise virgins, and now, of course, our last cruise, we're now Virgin Cruisers.
Hey, how it turns around. Yeah, it turns around quickly. So you were obviously part of the journey from the very beginning. So you got to see a lot of what Virgin Voyages was doing very early on. So what was your first impressions that you saw, or when you thought Virgin was creating a cruise line? What was kind of things that you were going through your mind at that time?
Well, I think you know, obviously the Epic Sea Change came out as one of the guidelines referring to what Virgin was trying to achieve. And if we're honest, we get a lot of emails every day. We get a lot of confirmation information from various travel companies, including cruise lines. And everybody speaks up about it's going to be different, it's going to be unusual, it's going to be that. And so to a certain degree, we probably took that with a pinch of salt. But knowing the Virgin brand and knowing how the various Virgin aspects give that freedom to the operators to do something different, to challenge the norm, we were really excited by that.
Yeah, great. And Anita, you were lucky enough to join us in Italy as well, right? So you got to come and see Scarlet Lady in construction. So you really got behind the velvet rope.
That was such a privilege. We cannot tell you how pleased we were and honoured to be invited. So yes, there we were with our hard hats.
I see you stole your hard hats. That's where they went.
That's where they went. Yeah. We were in the steel box when it looked like a ship from the outside, but from inside
it was really amazing to see that for us, just as normal cruisers that always just see, you know, the pizzazz and the glitz and the glam. We actually saw steel, and oh my goodness, the amount of electric work that we saw, amazing.
I know, right? I remember the wind
outside the door.
Yeah, the wind was cutting through the ship, so it was nice and cold. I remember it being a cold weekend, but we got to experience the ship. And you guys, if I remember correctly, you signed your name on Scarlet Lady, right? So you've actually got your name somewhere on the ship.
Yeah, it was a real privilege. At the back of the ship, there was a large blank wall and a few pens laying around that we just sort of grabbed advantage and scribbled a message onto the ship, which will travel around the world with her as she sails.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah, super cool. So skipping ahead, we were in the shipyard and obviously looking at the ship. And I remember us looking at each other saying, will she be ready on time? Because it felt to us there was a lot of work to do, right? But obviously the shipyard know what they're doing. So skipping ahead, you arrived into Liverpool to board Scarlet Lady. So what were your impressions when you first saw Scarlet Lady there, basking in her glory in Liverpool?
It was really great because when we arrived near the ship, there was a rainbow over the top of the ship, and that was just like a magical sign that really sort of said at the end of the rainbow,
she's ready. Yeah,
there was Scarlet Lady, and she looked so different from when we last saw her. Of course, you know, she completely painted on the outside, the red funnel and everything went with it, so it was quite awesome to see it at that time.
She looked like a real mega super yacht. It was just awesome to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you should say super yacht, because obviously the design of Scarlet Lady looks very different, and obviously a sister ship looks very different to a traditional cruise ship design, right? We used to see these big white ships, and she looks very different and very iconic. So I think you'll agree she'll definitely stand out in the ports of call that she'll be sailing to.
People will see her coming without doubt.
Yeah.
Great. So skipping forward then, going down the gangway, you stepped on board Scarlet Lady. What was your impressions that first moment you stepped on board and you arrived into kind of the roundabout, which is our atrium area? What did you think?
I think it really confirmed for us, it was very much a wow, and it very much confirmed for us what was explained to us when we were back in the shipyard about the openness of the decks and the way that the ship flowed from one area to another very seamlessly, and yet each zone had its own distinctive feel, be it slightly more casual, be it slightly more formal, but it just really worked. The open plan of the ship was great, and to see the finishing touches with the decor and the artwork.
Yeah, some of the styling was amazing.
Yeah, that was really
cool.
good.
Yeah.
So we just had a sneak look at your home, so we knew that you guys have got taste, and we know how you guys really know you respect and appreciate high design, so you got to obviously see her as a finished product. But was there anything when you were stepping on board Scarlet Lady that you'd seen previously Virgin Voyagers talk about that you were thinking, oh, I'm not sure this is for me, that really changed your mind when you got to experience her for yourself?
I think we have fairly we're open-minded and very accepting of new environments, but I think the message that came across from the initial marketing with Virgin was that it was very much a fun environment. It was all talking about a lot of the beach club aspects and the DJs and the parties and this sort of thing, and so therefore we very much expected it to be that kind of vibe, but in fact we found something completely different in other areas. Sure, that the party vibe is there, on the pool deck during the day, and certainly within the nightclub and the entertainment zones and things like that. But there's so many aspects of the ship, so many angles that offer a completely different environment, completely different atmosphere. If you want to laze around and just read a book or fall asleep on the couch and that type of thing, those opportunities were there on the ship, and it really gave us the understanding that it's for everybody. It's for everybody to make what they want from that ship.
Yeah, exactly. So we tried to create this environment where it's like the best diverse city block in the world, where you've got that uptown and downtown feel. So like you say, you can get dressed up in some restaurants, or you can be a bit more casual in other places. So you really do have your best of both worlds. So talking about restaurants then, was there anywhere that was a particular favorite of yours? We have over 20 eateries. So of those, was there anything that really stood out to you that you said that was a lasting memory in terms of that meal?
Yeah, we each have different favourites for different reasons. I think, understanding the 20 plus eateries is very important for your future sailors, because that doesn't mean there's 20 restaurants where you sit down, you've got a knife and fork and a tablecloth and everything that goes with it. There's 20 plus different styles of eateries. Sure, half of them are the more formal style of restaurant with a typical menu environment, but there's others that are the grab and go, or the lazing outside on the back deck, or in the dock, I believe, things like that in the dock. So there's really something for everybody. And bearing in mind that most of the cruises that you initially marketed were, 4 or 5 day cruises, there's not enough time to experience all of the dining operations.
We were the privileged ones to be on board longer to experience them all, and sometimes more than once. It was really good.
Yeah. So where did you go back to more than once? Where did you go back and think, oh, well, I need to go back to that restaurant again?
I think we did the Gunbay Korean barbecue.
Gunbay, yeah, their Korean barbecue. That's really good fun. And I think we've got a picture of that as well. So we've got
such a fun way to dine, and
but the
you could take your time.
I mean, the wake was amazing. Whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner, to be able to go into the wake. That's a fairly formal restaurant, but the food was amazing, and so that was great. But Test Kitchen
Test Kitchen was an experience.
Test Kitchen
very worth.
Razzle Dazzle.
Yeah, you enjoyed Razzle Dazzle for lunch.
I didn't think I would, because it's a vegetarian style.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. So I'm with you on that. When I got told it was a vegetarian restaurant or a vegetarian forward restaurant, I was like, oh, I'm not sure it'll be for me. But it was probably one of the most surprising venues for me to have a really great full English breakfast, but actually having healthy options. So so it's unusual.
I had the burger and it was just amazing. But I mean, also with Razzle Dazzle, it wasn't just the food side. The design of the room's very quirky, and the crew that hosted are, out there to make sure everybody has a good time. So that was nice.
Oh, it was good. It was a great
Yeah,
day.
so-
We also we were lucky enough to be privileged to use to have for the dinner show, which was held in the nightclub. So
Yes.
we had a combination of a set meal and the show going on early evening before the nightclub got going.
Very good.
And that was quite special.
Brilliant show. Really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
Itself was great.
Amazing. Well, for loads more information about the shows, etc., our first mates out there can head to this academy and take the events and gigs module, where they can learn a lot more about all of those different shows. So did you get a chance to go to the Red Room, our transformational theatre space? Did you manage to go in there?
Totally.
Yes.
When you talk about entertainment on a ship, look, we've done a lot of cruises, a lot of different ships. And one of the main things you find on any ship is you walk around, you go to the front of the ship, and there it is, the theatre. All the seats are there, and the stage is there, and the typical theatre lighting, and everything else that you expect to find in a theatre. Not on Virgin. It was, you walked in there first time and you think,
good. Something
they
different.
haven't finished this. It's like it's an empty room, and then you begin to understand that it's an empty room for a reason, because the versatility of the room is what makes the room really good. The fact that we spent some nights in there and there was a show going on, some singers, some dancers, various performers walking around in the room as well as on stage, and then all of a sudden the stage moves and it moves towards you, and you have to move out the way. So like you're part of what's going on, and it's very much encouraged that the audience are part of what's going on and help to create the atmosphere. And then another night you go in there and there is seating. There's a typical stage type seating, but not facing a single stage at the front. It's facing the center of the room. And the performers are in the middle of the room performing with everybody there, and it's a very different concept, but it really worked.
Yeah, the Red Room is one of my favorite places, and I know you got to see so you got to see Another Rose, which was obviously in theatre. You got to see Dual Reality, which is where you have the stage in the middle, and it tells the story of Romeo and Juliet in a completely different way. So I know you guys got to see that as well. Now, did you get to bust some moves in the best nightclub at sea in the Manor? Did you get to go and have a bit of a boogie? Anita, I know you would be on the dance floor.
Absolutely,
I'm a voyeur. I'm a watcher. Nobody wants to see me dance.
Oh no, it's such a fabulous room, and the lighting, and as for the laser lights, incredible. Really,
it's like the Manor's like a show in itself, isn't it? So the nightclub is not like a typical nightclub on a ship, because quite often nightclubs on a ship can be quite of a sterile environment, but the Manor has really managed to encapsulate a really high-end, kind of almost like back to the golden age of nightclubs, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think my background is from nightclubs and the entertainment side of things, and that club on the ship will stand up against anything you'll find on land. Absolutely will. It's fantastic.
It was fantastic.
And you get to bust some moves there. Yeah, it does. Amazing sound system. So in terms of bar experience then, so in terms of having a drink and enjoying yourself and dancing away in the Manor, what were your impressions of the drinks available on board? Well, I know you've got a good drink now. I love those glasses. So in terms of what did you manage to discover a new favorite cocktail? What were your impressions of the drinks and that type of service on board?
So the service was excellent on all the bars. I mean, they were very talented bartenders all around.
I think one of the things that was quite different was the fact that Virgin seemed to have employed a lot of bar people who maybe had never worked on ships before, so therefore they approached their jobs in a completely different way. And you could go up to any bar. We like the Rotunda, is it, in the centre?
Yeah.
Yeah. We like that bar there. And Danny, the barman at the time there, you could just walk up, and once he got to know your flavours, what you liked, what you didn't like, you wouldn't order a drink. You just sit at the bar and he would produce stuff, which was brilliant.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it's I think that's a really unique aspect of the fact that having those high quality bartenders that have got those experience and they're qualified mixologists, so they are able to curate the experience for you. So being able to walk up to the bar and tell them a little bit about yourself and the type of cocktails you like and have a cocktail delivered to you to your taste is really special, I think. And having the high quality is certainly what our sailors are looking for.
And the attention to detail, and the fact that Virgin has adopted the policy where all tips are included, and to be at a bar where you turn around a barman and say, thanks for your service, really appreciate it, and they go, oh, no, not necessary. You know, it's a very unusual sort of aspect.
It was a surprise for us, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And what were Anita, you briefly mentioned that you had great service and the crew really stood out to you. So what was it about the crew that you really loved?
I think I actually really liked, for a change, that not many of them had actually worked on board a ship before. So they embraced it in a whole new way, as if it was like, you know, what it was their first experience. And they seemed to take everything on board as new and exciting, as opposed to, oh, it's another contract. No offense to anybody, but, you know, so for them, it was a novelty every day as well. So they were keen and eager to please and do their jobs to the best that they could.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And I think from our perspective, we wanted those people that can bring those experiences. You know, if you go to a bar in your best cities in the world, we wanted our bar servers to be able to deliver those high quality cocktails and have the experience. You know, they haven't just been trained to pour a drink. They really put their passion and heart and soul into creating these amazing experiences that stand out. So it's bedtime.
Test kitchen, you found that, because the creativity in test kitchen was amazing. And we attended like a cocktail making class in test kitchen.
That was great.
That was a heavy afternoon, let's put it that way.
So tested.
Well, you can't. I never believe in this wine tasting where they ask you to spit it out. It's just not right, is it? You don't want to waste wine. So skipping forward to bedtime, then, what was your cabin? What cabin did you have? So, and tell us a little bit about the cabin experience.
Okay.
It was the standard balcony. Standard balcony cabin.
Yeah, we had a standard balcony, and obviously we got the chance to look at the other styles of cabins, and you know the choice of cabin for any individual is down to how much time they're likely to spend in the cabin. For us, we're very social. We like to be out and about, joining in the parties, being on the top deck, enjoying the restaurants, etc., and the whole vibe of the ship. But some people may want a little bit more space in their cabin, and they may choose to go for one of the larger suites, which were absolutely superb, particularly those with the access to Richard's rooftop. You know, they were amazing setup. But we had a standard balcony. It was very comfortable.
Yeah. And obviously our cabin designs are very different. So you've taken a lot of cruise holidays before, but you'll have never seen our patented design seabed. So you arrived into your cabin and you didn't see the bed. What went through your head then? How did you feel when going to the cabin and seeing a completely different design?
Well, I think we were ready for it because we had a little, you know, insight from the dockyard. But I think for us also, we were on a much longer trip than obviously you were going to be promoting 3 and 4 nights. So we had a hell of a lot of luggage. So we were thinking, okay, there is going to be a little bit of an issue for us, but actually there wasn't any issues at all. There was a lot of space to put your cases and things once you'd unpacked. And then we were trying to, obviously when the cabin steward came in to make the bed up in the evening, you realised that, it worked very well for him to do that, you know, the next morning to put it back to the bed and the sofa bed and then back to a bed.
But I think it worked well for passengers as well, because having the bed, the sea bed, as you call it, you know, yes, it's strange. It's slightly unusual when you first see it, but it does give you that additional space in the cabin during the day if you want to or need to spend time in the cabin. And yet in the evening, it's your fairly, you know, standard setup with a large, comfortable bed and a dressing table and a seating area and your wardrobe, bathroom, etc. So it turns back into what would be referred to as more of a normal cabin. But, you know, there's no need for individual, you know, sailors to have that changing. They can turn around to the cabin steward and say, no, I want it left as a regular bed, so I'm quite happy to come and sit on the bed during the day. But then others can have the choice to say, no, let's use the advantage of the extra space.
But at least initially when you walk into one of those cabins and it's set up in that way, you do actually get that feel that it's actually a much bigger cabin. You have a lot of space when you walk in and you think, okay, this is good. This, you know, wow. So that's
absolutely.
And we actually had a couple of friends that were sailing with us as well, and they hadn't had the previous experience that we had of seeing it, you know, in the shipyard. And you know, they were quite concerned, a bit hesitant about what they would expect. Within 2 days, they were, hey, well, you know, this is just great. It worked so well for us. So it was good to see their reaction as well as our own.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've been lucky enough to spend 6 nights on board as well. And obviously, we've experienced the seabed in the shipyard. We got to see it, but actually experiencing it and sleeping on there. I had pretty nice sleep. And when it's in bed mode, you'd not know the difference, right? You wouldn't realize what it can actually do. And so you do have that variety. So, and as you rightfully say, sailors have the choice. They can either have in bed mode the whole time, they can have into day mode or night mode. It's entirely up to them. So they do have the choice for that.
The cabin thing shouldn't just solely focus on the bed, because the other facilities in the cabin, you know, the automatic light settings and things like this, and once you've set it up the way you want it to be at different times of day, you know, when you walk into your cabin, the fact that the light responds to your own request, those sort of things are very different from what you get on a lot of other ships as well. And the ability to use the connectivity with the television to book your shows and your restaurants and those sort of aspects all comes in very useful.
Yeah, amazing. And did you spend any time? I know you were crossing the Atlantic in the winter, but did you get any time on your sea terrace itself? Did you get on the hammock?
Yeah, we did, but we spent a lot of time up on the top deck.
Yeah, when the weather got good enough to be outside, we went up on the top deck and was just enjoying the atmosphere with everybody else. So
we certainly had a glass of champagne in the hammock, just sat there, watched the world go by. A little bit fresh out of the middle of the Atlantic in February, but we took advantage of, you know.
Yeah, it's a great
So you just mentioned there going onto top deck, and how would you describe the vibe of the outdoor spaces? So the outdoor spaces are unique, given the fact that obviously we're adult only, so you don't have the kid spaces that you typically would find. So how would you describe the vibe on that top deck in that pool area?
In the pool area.
So the vibe on the top deck really changes depending on what location on the top deck you're in.
Yeah.
So talk about the pool area.
Well, the pool area tends to be the liveliest spot, I would say, up on that top deck. Sort of party atmosphere, you know, and you get people splashing around, sitting around, and in the pool and whatever. And if the music's going, that's where the party's at, probably day and night, which is great. But you can find chill out zones on that top deck as well that are amazing if you just want that quieter aspect.
Well, as you move towards the back of the ship, obviously the large sun lounges, which give very much a beach sort of clubby vibe and that sort of thing, and with cocktail service and the little food offerings that are held back there as well. It's a very laid back and chilled environment. So depending on what mood you're in at what time of day really reflects on which part of the top deck will suit your needs.
Yeah, exactly. So one big question for you: did you brave the catamaran net? Did you walk on the net? Did you lay on the net at the back of the ship or not?
I laid on there for a very short time, but to be honest, the one opportunity I got to do it, there was a bit of work going on around that area at the time, and I didn't want to be in the way of the guys that were trying to just trim off the ship and get it ready for arrival into what we hoped was going to be New York. But you know, it's a very unusual feeling to be on that net looking down into the sea below.
Yeah, I'd not had a chance to do it yet because we're in the UK and it was just too cold. So I was brave the catamaran net. I just didn't brave the weather. So so it was the cold that put me off. So it's definitely still on.
Speedos then?
Not yet. No, I didn't pack my speedos for Dover and Liverpool, but next time. So in terms of your experience of the top deck, then you're right in terms of the variety of choice that we have available for everybody. So is there anything else that really surprised you about Scarlet Lady, given the fact that you guys are such avid cruisers and obviously you clearly love the cruising experience? Was there anything that set Virgin Voyages and Scarlet Lady apart for you that stood out?
I think the fact, obviously, being adults only is a key aspect. You didn't have to worry about kids pressing every button in the lift and, you know, sitting on all the staircases and things like that. So that was a key aspect for it. But it really was the quality of the ship and the variety of the atmosphere and the vibes across the ship, which gave you the chance to pick what you wanted at different times of day. Sure, there's lots of partying going on, but there's lots of relaxation going on as well. So it was really good to see that. But the use of the open deck was great because they do feel very open. You know, the ability to exercise out there, if that's your thing, you know, and the unusual exercise setups that they have there. And I can only imagine if you had the ability to be in one of the nice suites and use Richard's rooftop, because the quality there, the style of the setting was just superb.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, guys. Well, we're almost out of time, but thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. You've given us an amazing insight. So, and I'm so jealous that you guys got to experience the transatlantic crossing. And I know you were meant to be going to New York, but we did a detour and took you straight to Miami. So we took it to the sunshine. But you guys had an amazing time. So thank you for sharing that with us. And for you first mates, sorry, yeah, for you first mates, if you want to learn a little bit more around what Anita and David have been telling us about, then you can of course head over to Academy and complete our online training platform. But you've heard it from David and Anita, had an amazing time on board. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your experience. And we hope to have you back with us at some point again in the very near future where we can get going again. And maybe you guys can join us in the Mediterranean this time. So maybe not fly as far and come and join us in the Med. So yeah, let's get to Ibiza.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck to the ships. Bye.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it both. Thank you.